Russell Crowe is going to be the second
I saw that
superhero
too.
absentee father.
Yeah.
You know, Superman and now Craven.
Does Hemsworth want to put on the crocodile hat for the fourth one?
Yeah, but I'd rather watch someone struggle with saran wrap trying to open up a cake in the middle of the night with no lights on. Movie. Like, it's just like wild how like.
The Shadow Crew Podcast.
Let me go to Old Matic.
Yeah, we all need sunglasses.
No, this is reading glasses, brother. This is reading glasses.
So he can read my body language.
So I can read.
So that Godzilla -1 has already made like 30 million at the box office on a budget of 15 million, and the what's his name? I think his name, the Jappy Takashi Yamazaki was the visual effects artist. And I think the director, I want to get it right. Yeah, he was also the director, visual effects.
Writer.
He did pretty much everything. He says he wants to do a Star Wars film. And it's 97% Rotten Tomato, critically acclaimed. We were just talking about last episode about like what Disney should do. That's the type of guy you hand a friend, like, doesn't give him a minor Star Wars character and let him do it on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
well,
like
I mean, Star Wars started as a low budget feature. It only cost like 13 million, you know, in the 70s, but still, that wasn't that big of a budget for a major studio.
Which is why it was good. Because they were like, all right, let's not overspend any of these little pennies and let's make a good film, and they did.
They did. It worked out too.
Like, you know, what we need to do is a comparison on one of our casts where we compare like how much was the budget based on like the rating it got in the theaters, right? So like, how much was the budget for like Empire Strikes Back, and what's the rating, right? I don't know if we would know that now, but like just in general. Right, because it's like, well, if you throw more money at it, it just gets sloppy and shitty.
Cool.
But if you keep a tight budget on it, it gets really good really fast.
Well, that's the thing is like they're reshooting the Captain America film. Like they're all these edit. I don't know how much it's going to cost. $300 million for this thing, and it's probably going to bomb too.
Same thing that they did with the Marvels is they reshot it a bunch of times, and because like, oh, okay, well, why don't we try this? Because obviously this isn't working. So
again, like we've always said, is like you know on paper or the script when something's bad, and this is not taking the right proper amount. Look, they used to make films when the script was good, they made films. Now all of a sudden they're like, okay, we'll work on the script and let's just get the film going, and that's never a product of it really working out at times.
Well, see, but they can, you know, they were misled because they've got like Robert Downey Jr. working on him, right? Where he improvised a shit ton of Iron Man and he made a bunch of stuff up, and so it wasn't exactly what the script was. Jeff Bridges said we never even had a full script when we started shooting that
but see, the amount of money they paid for that first Iron Man movie, you can do shit like that when you have that kind of money. But when you're spending $200 million, well, you better know. Which it's like building a downtown skyscraper and not having architectural plans to it. It's just asinine.
No, just build up. I'll tell you when to stop.
Yeah, that's never worked out, and they keep doing this on the higher. Now, lower end films, you and I have been on low end film sets, and it's a difference. It's a lot of improvisation. You're working on situations. There are certain things the plot does change, but you're not spending that type amount of money. Look, when you're doing a Tubi film for like 40 G's, you better improvise because it wasn't in the script. But when you're doing a 200 million plus movie, no improvisation, just do it.
How do you make a Godzilla film and good with a $15 million budget? I can't wrap my hand around that.
Oh, it's easy.
I mean, he clearly someone did it. It's just, if there's anybody in Hollywood taking notes, it's whatever the hell he did. Like, well, that should be the framework for future films. Like,
look,
if he could do that with 15 million, a Godzilla film, and we're not talking about the 1956, like where it's literally like, you know, Power Rangers set. It's like you would have thought they had a $75 million budget. So, kudos to him, man.
With Godzilla, It's not the hardest thing in the world. First of all, you don't have an actor that's improvising. It's just a big dinosaur tearing up the place. Look, this was clearly, and I know we got the best of series coming on tonight, but this was one of the better films I saw this year. It moved extremely quick. I mean, it's a period piece too. So a la Oppenheimer with an actual giant dragon in the middle of the movie, but it's a period piece. He does it right. The clothing, all the rest of the era, the actors, the everything was fantastic. It was just one of those films where I kind of thought like low expectations, high esteem happened from this. You know,
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were throwing in like this was a legendary movie and said, well, let's throw in like, $100 million. They were like, look, it's a Godzilla film. What's he going to do? He's going to either make a terrible movie or a good movie. Let's see what happens. He just so happened to defy the odds and make a pretty damn good movie, man.
Yeah. You know how we best of series we did villains and then we did like iconic. Did we mention Godzilla in any of those?
No, he was never on the list. No.
Godzilla's got to be up there, iconic. How many films has Godzilla been in?
He was. I think we had him in the movie Monsters one because I did have. I used a cutout of Godzilla with a tuxedo twice on 2 different podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, I know that we've talked about him.
He's there to pick up his award.
Well, maybe Dr. Brantley, Mr. Storm, maybe a retrospect series on Godzilla would be pretty epic.
All 58 movies.
I would love to pick the best of them. I know that Dr. Brentley's not the biggest Godzilla fan as much.
Go
as
King
I
Kong
am.
in there too. Do all the monsters like the
Yeah.
Okay,
why not?
we'll be done sometime in 2025.
Just don't do the one with Matthew Broderick in it.
No, that won't make this. Well, that didn't count. There's a new segment we're doing, and that would fall into it. But
oh yes, I can't wait for that. Oh, by the way, everyone, welcome to the Shadow Crew podcast.
7 minutes later.
Network. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your support. We just jumped into one of our topics. We got a lot of cool things, including, as Mr. Storm said, towards the end, our best of series, the best films of 2023. A lot of bombs, but actually some good stuff too. We were talking about it. I didn't think there was that many good films, but actually through the bullshit, you could see some good stuff. So we'll talk about that. But first on the plate, just quickly, Comic-Con, LA. For you comic fans and pop culture aficionados, happening. I think all of us have been to various comic conventions in the past. I know, Chet, you and I were at a couple of years back, pre-COVID. Anybody excited about comic? Is this like what do you think?
I think I don't know. I think LA Comic-Con, I remember when Regina started that, and it was in the garage at the convention center. I don't know if any of you went to that.
No, wait a minute. Because I remember the one that we went to was the LA Comic Book and Science one that was at like the place that near where
Shrine
at USC.
Yeah, so LA Comic-Con before it became Stan Lee's LA Comic-Con, and I think they changed it and all that. It was actually started and the very first one was like in the parking garage of the convention center.
Oh, okay. No, I remember Wizard World, which God knows we all
Wizard
had.
World
Thank God they're not making conventions
WizardCon.
anymore.
There was
Anaheim,
one we went to. I think it was WizardCon, where we were there and it was sharing the space with like the volleyball girls winner.
Yeah,
Wizard World LA when they did the LA Marathon on the same weekend that we were like, why is there no foot traffic? Well, because no one can get downtown.
Oh shit, I remember.
There's plenty of foot traffic on
that
Wilshire.
Was bad. It was empty. Yeah. You walked into Wizard World and it was like a apocalyptic Wizard World. There was like just vendors.
You walked into it, and everyone was like, how the hell did you get here?
Exactly. That's what everyone's asking.
That's what it was. Like, well, have fun. No one's in there.
It was like I think it's like the Walking Dead Comic-Con. You know, it was like you were stored into like a convention center and the world was ending. That's exactly what it was like, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think LA Comic-Con has always kind of been one of my more favorite ones. Obviously, Chris, like you were saying, we had a booth back in 2019 when you could play with cards and no one freaked out. But I don't know. I've always liked it. It's smaller, but unfortunately, I'm not in California. If I was, I probably would have gone today because today, right? It's first through the third. So
First and third.
yeah, so it started today. Typically, I love the first and the second day. And that's about it.
Yeah, we've got some people that we know that are there as attendees, and then some people are exhibitors. And every now and then, I love going to conventions. I think in December, I think it's just I don't know. I know they can't put it in the same exact summer, but maybe if it was a little bit after, like was it Wizard convention center? What's the one that's called that's in Anaheim that's run by San Diego Comic Con? There's
WonderCon.
WonderCon. Okay, I think if you put it between WonderCon and San Diego, I think that's a little better because, look, it's like we're from California. It's getting cold in LA. I wasn't driving to LA, man.
I don't know if they have that money though. That's the problem.
That's true too.
If they put it between there, right, you're getting the LA Convention Center for like $15,000, right, $15,000 to $25,000, and then so whatever your heads are costing, but that's like $15,000 to $20,000 in off season, right? True. So if they wanted that convention center like in prime time at the LA Convention Center, they would be fighting with the car show, but that convention center goes up 4x to rent it out. Right?
Well, I can tell you the one thing that does it in for having it at this point. Like, look, one of the main reasons too is it's like after Thanksgiving, you kill yourself on Black Friday. We were all hitting the Black Friday sales, so that was expenditure that was done. And then you've got Christmas coming up. I think it's a terrible time to have a place where you're actually purchasing items from to be in the smack dab of the two worst expenditures of the entire year.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing too is none of the big players are attending these events.
I didn't see any.
So they can't rely on the revenue normally they would have gotten pre-COVID or even before that. Marvel dumped in $25,000 to build their whole epic set and all these film studios. I don't know, the strike in Hollywood, I'm sure that had a lot of impact on that, unless they're last minute purchasing space, but that was shut down. So you probably don't have a lot of advertising marketing revenue. So I'd be interested to see. I'll check social media. If we know some folks that are going, anybody that's listening, drop a comment. I would love to hear how it went. But I always support the young aspiring artists and the independents and stuff. But unfortunately, when it's the bulk load of that is that attendance isn't very high, right? Because there's no attractive thing, and I haven't heard any exclusive stuff, and this goes back to the Hollywood shutdown of like a premiere that people gravitate towards. Like if they were going to say exclusive trailer teaser of the new Star Wars thing, or like the Avengers returning, but none of that. Like I haven't heard any buzz from the con. So other than some of the folks that in Signature Alley, a couple names that draw okay, but nothing major.
Well, if you're a fan of comics, this is probably the convention to go to, because this is not
probably
big media. You're actually going to spend time with creators and things. That's the only plus out of it. But the negative out of it, is you're right, is that you're in Hollywood's backyard and they have not outperformed what you're supposed to be doing in San Diego, which they have the opportunity. The studios, Marvel's out here now, DC's out here now. There's no excuse. So hopefully it builds up a little better.
They could have done something just this week. The Mad Max Furiosa trailer dropped. So it's like, we could wait until Friday and make an event of it. But no, let's just drop it on Wednesday.
And the place that had Tupac's California Love, Mad Max, come on.
How's everyone feeling about Mad Max, this trailer?
The trailer looked great. I don't understand the whole prequel kind of thing, because it's like Mad Max, and then it's like I want to still see another Mad Max, and I thought the last film was decent.
Well,
I thought the Mel Gibson ones were obviously better, but I was looking for another Mad Max film. It would be probably nice to see Mel Gibson in probably one last one too, you know. So, you know, I think they got
Well,
an
that's
opportunity.
never
there.
going to happen.
Oh,
now.
no, it's not going to happen now.
Not after we've had Tom Hardy. But the thing with Furiosa is that they can actually tell an interesting, unique, brand new story, and it's not tied down to Max or anything.
True.
And so it's just a new story in the wasteland. And I'm cool with that. And I had no idea that was Chris Hemsworth until
good
I
makeup.
saw. I mean, he totally is a different person in that. So,
well, if you're Australian, you're going to be in a Mad Max movie.
Yep.
I'm surprised they got Chris Hemsworth. Like, that's he's a pretty big name, but
they got
Australian.
Well, it's Mad Max. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
and
can
George
draw out
Miller
the
directing it.
Exactly.
It's Aussie. It's an Aussie. Like, I want to be a part of an epic Australian franchise. So I'm sure that has something to do. I mean, think about it. Other than Crocodile Dundee, it's Mad Max, right? Those are the two, right?
Pretty
so
much.
It's does Hemsworth want to put on the crocodile hat for the fourth one?
Although,
not so sure.
I'm surprised I've never seen Hugh Jackman into because if you thought that if they were going to replace instead of Tom Hardy, it's like, wouldn't Hugh Jackman be like a necessarily older version of Mad Max?
He's too busy playing Logan.
Well, at this moment, but I'm saying years ago, his dance card was open, brother.
That's true.
So it'd be interesting.
Has there any been in the history of like cinema that plays such a badass comic book character like Wolverine, but then you could turn on the TV and he's like singing and dancing? Like, I don't know if there's
really good.
I don't know. Right? He's in another musical or something on Hulu I saw that's coming out too. So
maybe the only other actor, but he's not American. I think it's Sir Patrick Stewart. Because I know he does a lot of theater. So he's about the only person.
Yeah, but he's not singing and dancing.
No. And what's his name? And Magneto, the same thing. Ian McKellen is not a singer and dancer, but he's like, he's done Broadway, he's done Shakespeare. It's strange. I mean, kudos to Hugh Jackman. I mean, to talk about diversity in his roles, but it's just weird to see Wolverine and then he's singing like a Baz Luhrmann. It's crazy.
Now I want to see like a Schwarzenegger and Stallone, like a tap dancing duo bit, like old soft shoe routine.
Well, they're gonna have to use CGI for that, man.
I think Stallone can go. Much. I'm not sure about Arnold. I think Arnold's limping around, man. He's got some bad knees on him. That Terminator's finally the oil ain't working on those robotic knees.
We'll get the stuntman to do it. Just get him a close up.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple films. I know we should probably talk about. We talked about last episode, but Aquaman.
Yeah.
I mean, we hinted at this could be a disaster, but now we're reading it could be even more disappointing than anybody thought.
Yeah, I mean, this is I don't know. I mean, you know how you could tell it was gonna be a bomb is just because Aquaman 2, I guess.
Well, I didn't see any red carpet events. I didn't see any publicity
they couldn't
done for it.
They couldn't do anything like that because Amber Heard opened her mouth and everyone's like, I don't want to see it now.
Yeah, well, they still could have, they could have presented something a little bit better than they did. It's almost like a little bit of fanfare, to be honest with you. I think they spent some money on advertising. I
think they're trying to just kind of like get the movie out, but like brush it under the rug just so they can say like, well, we released it. And everyone's like, wait, what? It's because Aquaman 2 is going to be one of those movies where it's like, wait, that came out already?
Yeah. No, it's.
Do you think it's because there's no big name on the bad guy side, like the Black Manta? He was in the last film, right? But like sometimes
he was one of the best things in it, though.
No, but I'm saying though, but the name power, like. Even Thor sucked the last one, but Christian Bale was a bad guy. So you're drawing some money because people are like, oh shit, Christian Bale. Like, I don't know. I've seen this guy in films, but I don't know. His name is not big. Yeah. Is that part of the problem? Or is it people just like, I'm done with DCU? That's
I think WB just basically wanted this to bomb. Like they wanted Blue Beetle to bomb, like they wanted Flash to bomb. Like, you can tell when they put their time and effort and energy into something. And ever since James Gunn opened up his mouth and said, well, I'm going to do a brand new universe, you made all those characters obsolete. So, like, what was the motivation for people to literally go and see the movie? There was
Zero.
none. So they basically wrecked this, and I've never seen it. And the way they're writing off movies and, hey, we're not going to put this out and do that. It's like the people that ran Discovery, like the junk of the channel that it normally is, decided to put that same philosophy into how we should run motion pictures. And at this point, you can just obviously tell they just did not put any care into this film. It sucks, because you're killing the industry. It's like in the days of having like terrible Westerns, and then people wonder, well, why is Westerns gone? And then there was the 80s. Everybody was like a renegade cop. And then there was so many terrible movies, and that killed that genre. And now the same thing's happening. They're just putting crap out, and they're not putting any thought and effort behind it because they're like, well, the last 12 movies made $1 billion, so 13 should do it too. That's not how you run business. And Discovery has no business running motion pictures. They make the worst content on television with most of the reality shows. They literally have a show called Naked and Afraid, and they just put people out in the forest, buck naked, with no supplies, and then they're shocked that things go right.
That's the new Batman. Yeah, I don't know about this. I don't know about Aquaman 2, man. Like I always watch the movies because it's like, let's see what they did.
Mm-hmm.
But like, honestly, I mean, Alex, you like nailed it though. Like I'll tell you, because I knew we were going to talk about this. I was watching Man of Steel like a few hours before we got on. And like, it's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's good storytelling. It's not the best. It could be better, but compared to Aquaman, like come on, like the writing is just better in Man of Steel. Like, and I think it's just, I have no, as someone who's a massive DC Comics fan, I actually like DC Comics, the structure over Marvel. But
me too.
As somebody who's a massive DC fan, it's exactly what you said for me is why I don't care. Because James Gunn just came in and said, everything you know about DC, I'm going to make it better. And I'm just like, yeah, who are you going to find to replace like Henry Cavill? Because that role is him for Superman, right?
All he had to do was shut his mouth until first quarter 2024,
And that's it. I truly believe so, because like everyone was bummed out that Henry Cavill's not going to be Superman, but they also don't have another Superman movie coming out, so it didn't matter, right? And so
they just had that Henry Cavill finally agreed to do that Black Adam cameo at the end, right?
Exactly.
And so why bring him back? And then like 2 weeks later, James Gunn's like, oh, well, yeah, that's not our Superman anymore. And
which, by the way, was one of the best parts of that movie, because you were like, oh, shit, it's going to happen. And now it's like, nah, just kidding.
No, I thought you meant like when the end credits was rolling now.
Yeah, exactly. You know what?
Oh, we can leave. Yeah.
What sucks is, like you said, like Henry Cavill is actually a really good Superman. It's like a really good casting. I thought Jason Momoa is a good cat. Like, he's Aquaman.
He is.
And that's the sad part is like he won't continue. Like if there's a guy that's like Aquaman, I believe it. Like that's what I'm saying. Is like there's certain people where you're like, I don't know. Like it's almost like he was born to be this role, and now we'll never see him. Exactly. By the way, who did it better, Aquaman or Submariner on the Marvel side with the Black Panther?
Obviously,
Aquaman.
I was Aquaman.
Oh, what the hell boy, they up Submariner so bad.
I mean, it's not called. It's not recoverable, right? It's like
no.
What
is this? That is the last time we see Atlantis or ever hear about it.
I don't know what we're talking about. What are we talking about?
I'm talking about
Oppenheimer just bombed Atlantis. We'll never see it in a Marvel film.
Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
And Namor versus Aquaman. Look, Namor was one of my favorite Marvel characters, And I had waited for years because I know Universal had the rights and the whole thing with that. And once they said to release it, and then I heard that they were doing them in the Black Panther, I was like, well, the Black Panther's not going to be in the movie. How are they going to do this? And then I saw the Aztec thing. I was like, why is this one character that you messed up? It's like, why is this character?
It just made zero sense.
It was like, I don't even understand. And then there's a whole nother kind of like, if we go back into when people have like certain issues, I'm like, why would Aztecs and Wakandans have issues? And that didn't make any sense either. Just
you have to swim across half the world to even get into their area, their neighborhood.
And so it was just
they used hold on, mystery, Doctor Strange. He transported them. You didn't see that; it was cut out. They cut that out of the film. And then Super Mario had some warp pipes that they went through.
Yeah,
it's sad. Yeah, it is. It's sad because I think Jason Momoa is the fit, but it looks like they'll do a full reset.
Although he's going to be a great Lobo if that's what they're actually doing.
Are they going to make that?
They're going to make Lobo, but I can tell you something. Under James Gunn, I have a prediction. I think
he's not going to use anything.
I think he gets 3 major films, and I don't think it's going to go beyond that.
I think he gets 1, and I think it tanks, and they cut him. Like I just don't think it's going to work. Like you single-handedly opened your mouth and like trashed every movie that was coming out, and now you want us to go watch your movie. You're like the kid who shows up and like you can't play, and so you take the ball and go home and then come back with a different ball. Be like, all right, let's play now. Like it's not gonna work.
I thought the greatest insult was when James Gunn interviewed the Ben Affleck about directing the movie, and Ben Affleck's like, how many Oscars do I have sitting on the shelf? And remind me, how many do you have? It's like, you need to interview me. It was just one of those things that was kind of like, it was a slap in the face, obviously, man.
And now I know this is not on our agenda here, but I got to bring it up because we were talking about it this week about films, ones that should be made, ones that shouldn't be. Madam Web.
Come on, Jesus Christ.
And the Morbius director, writers. Why do these guys get second chances after destroying a character? And does anybody want to see a Madam Web film, by the way?
No one does. No.
First of all, Dr. Britton and I would like to know, how do you
get into that program?
No. How do you bomb a first film and get brought back a second?
Yeah,
I distinctly remember and everything that we were not called for that.
Yeah, because I can fail upward. I can do. If you want your movie trashed, we can trash it. If you want it to be good, well, we can try and make it good too. Whatever you want.
I got to ask you a question. Money aside. Okay. Because money talks. Like
it does.
We all do. We do some things, but if you got a call. Mm-hmm. And they said, "Hey, we want you to do a major film with a superhero character," and you're like, "Hell yeah, who is it?" I said, "Madam Web." You hang up the phone or you keep listening. Like honestly,
I would make that deal.
Dr. Britton and I would, because after you've been on the strike line,
I'm saying money aside. Like I'm just talking about
we had enough money.
If you got the millions in the bank, is that a character you would explore?
It doesn't matter. There's any character you can make interesting with the right story. I truly believe that. So all these movies that suck. It's like, well, you just didn't tell the right story with that character. And it's like, yeah, the studio wanted us to put this in. This guy wanted this. The actor wanted this. So, it gets lost. But
now, Chris, you'll understand why I do most of the business with our agent and Dr. Britton and I do creative. Because
I just accepted the job. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but like you said, see, if the money was, when he said, hey, they come in, money aside, like, there would have to be money. You say, Madam Web, like, you need to be telling me how many zeros you're putting in front of us first, and then I'll be like, okay, well, Madam Web, I think we could do that. And then I go back, I call Dr. Britton, like, hey, bit.
Oh,
I don't really know.
Madam Web's my favorite character.
I also don't know if it's fair for this audience because like we all know comics. So
Yeah.
if someone says you want to do Madam Web, you're like, no, I was gonna watch that. Like no one's gonna go watch that.
I will say though, it had one of the best stunt things where the guy jumps on the ceiling of the train or whatever, and they're fighting, which I've never seen in a Spider-Man movie. As many as they've done, what, 6 or 7 of them? I've never seen that. It looked cool.
Well, I know
and that was the one thing that I liked out of that.
I know. I think it's Ezekiel Tome is one of the characters, but they mashed up 2 characters from J. Michael Skorinsky's run that he did with John Romita Jr. And so, look, I've never thought the Sinister Six idea was like a completely smart idea. When you're talking about now, if you were saying it was Spider-Man, Miles Morales, maybe Ben Reilly as Spider-Verse, I could get 3 different Spider-Mans. But to say that we're going to build like all these villains, and then you're like, well, no one, let's be honest and everything, aside from probably Joker, no one really cares about the villains. It's like, you don't put a whole entire 2.5 hours devoted. Villains are meant for like a 15-minute stint here, another 5 minutes in the movie, then they die off, and you get another.
Well, like how good did the Venom movies do?
Well, they did, unfortunately, well.
Pretty good.
Yeah, but again, I don't know.
Yeah,
but I mean,
but they didn't make him the
like
villain.
a balance, though.
Yeah.
In those movies, though, he wasn't a villain. They sort of changed the whole character.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Venom is like that. He's like half. Like like that's
Exactly.
the thing. And plus, he's so like deep rooted in the Spider-Man universe that like Spider-Man's such a popular character that even like the people that are not vested in comic books, I think a lot of them knew Venom to some degree, right? Because he's popped up in various Spider franchises and cartoons and things like. All these other characters outside of Joker, like you would really need to be a fan of it or have been a comic book reader to know who the hell they were, right? So,
and you're coming off of Morbius, and then it's going to be Craven, then it's
that's like, another bomb that Craven's going to just bomb out.
And then when they showed the dude that was, I believe, Rhino, I was like, okay, that's when I just shut off. I just shut it off. I was like, okay, it doesn't make any sense, but hey, Sony's gonna do what Sony's gonna do.
Russell Crowe is going to be the second superhero absentee father. Superman and now Craven.
He's the guy that picks up the phone and does not hang up at this stage of his career.
Whoa.
He just tell me like,
hello, I'll do it. Who is this?
Oh, Geico? Yes.
I needed to change my insurance.
So him and Timu.
He's got a Timu slot now.
I'm just waiting for the Matthew McConaughey and Russell Crowe team up for the next commercial. Because
all right.
Yeah.
Did you ever see, side note about Matthew McConaughey? Did you ever see the In Between Two Bushes or In Between Two Ferns?
Yes, I have watched it. Yeah.
And Zach Galifianakis asked him, like, do you think it's sad that there's a hacky not being sacked?
Yeah. He asked. I remember he asked on the True Detective how much the marijuana budget was for that film, for that TV series.
It's just funny
because him and Woody Harrelson are like notorious weed smokers. So that's probably the reason that series was really good. Actually,
that's the same one where he's like. Where he asked him if it's sad that there's a sack not being hacked somewhere.
Moving on to toys, we promise you all we'll get into the best of series, best films of 2023 coming up in just a few minutes. But lots of toy stuff. So I'll pass it to some of our resident toy experts and Mr. Storm and Chet talk through a little bit about what's happening in the world. I know, a lot of things, a lot of hot things, Super 7, NECA releasing some of these toys, but I gotta be honest with you, some of the stuff's just expensive, and like you don't even like. It's hard to collect, right? I know that's the world right now, is things are expensive, but I think that's one thing that is preventing a lot of us and probably younger collectors from getting these really cool figures that are releasing.
Yeah, no, I was watching the this week. McFarlane had its digital town meeting for McFarlane Toys, and I give him credit on a couple of key things. One was he personally stated that, look, I'm not a publicly traded company. So my focus is to not make the biggest profit off of everything. My focus is to basically, try to make cool things that are like, the fans can actually afford. And that actually made a little bit more sense of how he stated that, because yeah, he doesn't have a corporate board that's telling them to run up the price and, hey, I need this stock option and we need this amount of money at the end of the year or this quarter. He's doing everything from the standpoint of what's cool to make, but also what's going to make me a profit. So that's a little bit different. When I'm starting to look at like the pricing now, it's starting to get a little bit ridiculous. Now look, there's certain aspects where I'm like NECA, I think NECA can command the pricing they're asking for. Number one,
Absolutely.
their packaging fantastic. Their figures are usually a little bit more oversized than the standard figures that they're pricing. Super
Yeah.
7, I'm starting to have problems with, because other than the Thundercat line and maybe a couple of TMNT, some of their stuff, like the old line stuff that they're talking about, that they've been doing, and they're saying that they're going to go and do the Real American Hero old line and do it to scale of Hasbro. Well, the first thing I started thinking was, well, shit, this is going to probably be about $30-$40. And then the CEO said, no, it's going to be $20. Look, I remember going in and paying under $5 for a Joe figure in the 80s.
Yeah.
Now, I'm playing for classified 6-inch, more accessories. That's about 22 to 24. Super 7 figures are normally over about 35 to $50. It's too ridiculous. How are you going to get younger fans? You're selling these to adults. You're not selling these to kids, because no kids walk in the store with $50 and like, hey man, I really want that, that Thundercat. Like, it doesn't make sense. They're hurting the industry by trying to do the cash grab now.
Yeah, I mean they do the cash grab with the reaction line too. Like I remember I thought I was at Target and I was like in the back and they had this like reaction old school like Raphael figure, and like I was like, cool, I didn't see a price on it, just grabbed it, went up and bought it. And then when I left, I realized that was like way too much money for what I had spent. And it was like it was $20 for the reaction figure that I think doesn't have very much articulation. It's still in the packaging. I kept it. But if you think about it in perspective, and that's like what is that? Those are like 6-inch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's 6-inch. And for literally, let's see, I paid 20 and the average NECA figure is like 34. But the quality difference between
the sculpting's amazing on those.
The jump and not even just the reaction figures from Super 7. Like I love the ideas Super 7 has. I do.
Exactly.
But some of the ones I'm getting, like the quality's not there. Best Action's pretty good. Best Action Toys is good. I don't know.
I was shocked. I saw like 4 Horsemen, and they had a line of like I don't remember the name, but I saw them at like some of the conventions, the toy conventions, and they had like one where they had this like a bear and the character or something, and then I saw the pricing on it, and I was like $300. Like some of the pricing is just, I think that they're hurting it. Look, I know we have the HasLabs, we have the Marvel Creations, the Super 7s and everything. I really think that if they don't really start curbing their thoughts on pricing, they're going to do exactly like the way the movie industry right now is having a little bit of recession. The toy industry is going to have a major recession coming up if they don't start thinking about McFarlane. I think McFarlane will weather this storm and he will be fine, because like you said on this channel, I'm looking for things for $5, $10, $15. That's what I think that I want to put in the hands of people that have it. I intentionally try to keep the price low. When you're working for your corporate overlords and you're like, hey man, third quarter's coming, we got to have a $10 million increase from the last quarter. Well, you're passing it on to fans. How long? Again, we've seen Marvel Creation. How many times this year did none of their stuff go through because they were way overpriced? A lot of the Marvel Legends line that they did for the HasLabs didn't go through. You start to look at Super 7 on Black Friday. Chet and I was both talking about how many things I saw in Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth that were all discounted, like down to like 10, 5, like, hey, let's just get this crap out the door for Super 7. They're not thinking about this, man. And how much stuff have you been seeing pop up on Alleys and Ross with that stuff too?
Oh, so many.
That would be my strategy, unless it's going to be like some limited edition run of a figure that there's no way it's going to wind up in these like discount retailers. Wait, I mean this past week they got drop shipment of about 30 different McFarlane figures that normally would run anywhere from $20 to $25 for an average price of $6-7. Like, that's the new McFarlane stuff, all the DC stuff, plus some of like the licensing stuff, like the Disney Mirrorverse, the Witcher series. Like, it's crazy. I shared last week the Star Wars Black Series line, or the Star Wars. I forget what the other one is, where they like repop the figures from. I forget what that line is called. $5-6. Like, why would you spend $20, $25 unless it's like a specialty figure or something like that? So, that's it. They're definitely overpriced. I will tell you one thing that I appreciate with some of these things that we're talking about HasLab, but some of these like crazy Hot Toys or Jazz Inc. figures. I know we were sharing that. The Batwing, the 1/6 scale.
I would buy that.
To me, that's like, okay, that's like you're displaying that if you got the room.
Yeah,
that's where you spend the money, right? It's like, but for like toys that articulate, you're supposed to like play with. I don't see where you're spending the money.
No.
But
I need
that Batwing, by the way.
No, did you see that thing? That's like a damn that's like a dining room table, man.
Yeah, I watched an opening of it. I watched someone open it up.
That thing was amazing.
I'll probably buy that thing and hang it in my office.
Like I saw the McFarlane Batwing that you could put on the wall and everything. That damn thing's as big as that damn case back there. The guy was standing, literally. He looked like he was 5 feet. The damn thing was bigger than that. I was like, where the hell are you displaying that at?
The McFarlane one?
No, the Jazz Inc.
Yeah,
that thing was amazing.
Yeah, no, it's $400.
Well, no, but that's the first time something looked like for $400 that you're like, yep, that's $400.
Yeah. Well, and everything's magnetic on it. Like, you put it out, the wings snap in the magnetic, the Tommy guns are magnetic, the balloon cutters are magnetic. It's like,
but you do have to build your own bat cave.
Oh shit!
That's fine. I got a 3D printer. I'm just gonna print my own bat cave.
You know what? The Hot Toys DeLorean is pretty badass too. Oh yeah, all the details associated with that one too.
But see, they're clearly marketing their stuff to like adults. They're like, look, man, I've never seen a hot toy that was like, oh, this is a $22 hot toy. No, $2,200. Like they know it's like when they sit and tell you that there's a credit card plan with 15 payments and shit with 0 interest. That's not the same as Super 7 or some of these other guys price gouging the little dudes on the market and everything. Those are like if we all had the bucks, I know we would be seeing a DeLorean sitting right behind Dr. Brentley right now. I certainly know that. But that makes sense. That stuff, those are collectibles more in the way like when you see all the sideshow sculptures. That's not for the faint of heart to get into. Those things are costing a little, but the displays are different. But when we're looking at some of these smaller chains, it's like you guys are bleeding out the market that you need to actually keep getting into the stores. Because let me tell you something, the last year in toys was probably one of the best years. But I've everyone I'm talking to, and again, I'm supposed to go down to this SoCal Joe Fest, and I've talked to a couple of dudes, and they're like, man, I just don't have any damn money because I was bleeded out all year long to spend anything at the show. And I'm like, that's what the reality is, that you've gutted it so much in the beginning of the year now that now the regular guys are like, I'm just out of cash, and they're still dropping pre-orders all the time now.
I think what you failed to mention is there might not be a DeLorean replica, But there's a $10,000 1934 Duesenberg that Indiana Jones drove with short round and Temple of Doom behind him. But we won't talk about that.
That comes up. I'm buying that for you, Dr.
It's
Brent.
an investment, you know.
Speaking of films, it is now time to get into our best of series, the best films of 2023. It was a little bit more challenging and difficult than we had hoped, but there are some good stuff. So let's jump right into it.
Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Entertaining. It was a heartfelt story. Illumination's doing some of the best work. I don't know if that migration film's going to do well, but
I think it'll do well. I think it will. It's a holiday movie. It's the only animated film that's coming out after that Wish bomb that Disney just put out. So it's gonna kill it.
I mean,
money.
Although, you know, the one thing while we were talking about the best of, Netflix dropped the Monkey King, and it was a 3D animated film there, and my nephews were watching it, and I watched it. That was pretty damn good too, and it was not talked about at all, but it was a really good movie.
Adam Sandler did a Netflix one, a lizard, I think Leo.
I saw
Leon
that too.
Or something.
Yeah.
Man, he's making a shitload of money on the animated side. Adam Sandler.
That.
Yeah. Mario Brothers for sure, and
yes,
Jack Black, man, he crushed Bowser. Like he did such an amazing job. That's the guy you want to play.
But I think that movie was so good because they didn't have anything to go off of.
Yes,
so they just wrote it, and these were all.
But they took all the best aspects of the movie, though,
because they were all people that loved Nintendo. They all played Nintendo. You can hear it, like it's all their like favorite things, and it's just like this is good. And a little side note too, it goes along with the Mario releases. Like one of the more fun Mario games I've played is the new one that they just released, and it's like it's the same
RPG. It's the RPG one, right? Or no, it's
Wonderland.
Wonderland. Wonderland. Yeah. Cool. Well, Mario for sure.
Yeah, most definitely.
What else we got?
I love Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. I know Dr. Brentley thought it was so, but I thought it was probably one of the more entertaining and enjoyable. Probably because I know it's getting to the end, so this is pretty much. But
he's filming another one.
Yeah, he's filming
part two.
Part two.
Flying from buildings, and I saw like that clip of. He's crazy.
Oh yeah. I give him like his dedication. I will give him credit for, because the stuff that he does and the stuff that he puts his director through is probably, and the insurance provider is probably the most heart-wrenching stuff you've ever seen.
Oh, I would hate to be that insurance guy. It's like, you want to do what? Oh God. Oh, I should not be. Oh, you're gonna have to pay a lot on this premium.
Yeah, let's say John Wick 4. God, do they do a bad John Wick?
Now, I will say this was my least favorite of all the other John Wicks, but it was still a great movie. It was just a little slower paced than all the others, and it didn't really pick up until towards the end.
Well, I think because Keanu Reeves probably thought this is my last one. Then they were like, no, it made too much money. They won't let John Wick go until he starts getting to the John McClane level of where the box office starts dropping. Then they'll stop making them.
Well, when John Wick goes to Russia to get his son out of trouble, then we know we're in trouble.
When he goes to Russia with love.
That's right.
As long as Ian McShane's still alive, keep making those damn films, because he is just as important to that franchise as Keanu Reeves is.
I will say Transformers Rise of the Beast. I did not think it was going to be a good film, because I was just Michael Bay and the whole thing. This was probably one of the most refreshing Transformer movies since the first one, I thought. It had an interesting storyline. The actors were good. You cared about the characters this time around. It didn't seem like they rehashed anything. I thought it was one of the better 23 films. I was pleasantly surprised at how good that film was.
It had probably one of the best bad guys the Transformers films.
It did.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Nice final send-off.
And this one actually tore me up not even 10 minutes into it, because the cruelty to animals is very heart-wrenching, and you know, it is tough to get through, but it is very well done, and it makes you instantly care about those people, you know.
They just did an interview, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, with Bradley Cooper. I think it was on somebody asked him about playing Rocket, and and he said when he was filming that, he was doing the voices and he was reading it. There's that scene, if you recall, where like Rocket like screams out because his friend gets killed. I forget what, and he said like he like got crazy emotional because he was thinking about some of the stuff that's transpired in his life, and he was like crying when he read the script, and it was like he was like, "Holy shit, this is like if this was it's live action, but if he was playing this character, like reading this." And he was just saying that was like one of his favorite characters to play ever. And I'm like, it's so funny, the CGI raccoon, but that's how good the script was.
Like if it wasn't a CGI raccoon, I'd get an Oscar for this.
He probably would have. Probably would have. Yeah. Yeah, all the Guardians films, which again gives you hope that James Gunn could potentially make a good DC stuff, but
that's right.
We'll tell. We got to get Barbie and Oppenheimer out of the way.
Oh
right?
yeah,
like
most definitely.
Barbie was a great movie. I have to say, it was a little long, but it was very funny. Very, I don't know, well done.
I would say that the greatest living actor of his time right now, Mr. Denzel Washington, because Equalizer 3 was on pace. It was a great film. Like, wow. I'm like, I'm hoping that, you know, we get another one. We'll see. But
Training Day 2.
I think he'll continue to make those things. I think he's found his little niche of being an action guy. Like, they make money, decent budget.
Yeah, people like those. I mean, for me, I watch Equalizer, like any of them, and I just look at it. I'm like, oh, these are kind of basically like the new Bourne movies. They're fantastic.
Exactly.
They're like the Jason Bourne movies were all fantastic. They were just like sit back, watch the movie, figure it out. Then they put one movie and then it did make sense, and then you just go back to the regular movie. But Equalizer 1, 2, and 3, like I watched it, I was like, I could see this continuing to go. Like, it's great.
But isn't it also, it feels like those like late 80s, early 90s revenge action films too.
It's fantastic.
Like the Steven Seagals and the Chuck Norris, like those, like, so it's like good action sequences, good acting, but it's like you want to see a guy like get his revenge, and you don't get too many of those films nowadays. So
true.
I mean, that's the reason why I like Man on Fire with Denzel. Like, he's just so good in like getting revenge and being a freaking badass. So,
and Cobra, Cobra's another one that
here we go.
The
standard Cobra reference on the podcast.
Sorry about that. Just, you know.
No, it's good. I haven't pulled out the Cobra trailer in a couple of casts, so you know.
Yeah.
Stallone is Cobra, the strong arm of the law.
I just love that his last name's Cobretti. Yeah, that's the reason why they call him Cobra, short for Cobretti, versus just like they call him Cobra because he's.
I wish I could change my like Xbox name.
Chet Cobretti. Uh-oh. I think that's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
Well, I know Dr. Brentley thought one film was a little bit better all year long that he forced me to watch. And everything that, but no, it doesn't have a Jones in it.
It's not this one. Okay.
Yeah, no. Cocaine Bear. I thought that was probably one of the most out of the way. I did not think that I would watch something like this, that I absolutely could not pull myself away from the screen. That and Five Nights at Freddy's, like, my goodness.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Both those movies were fantastic.
Like who would have known?
Watching Cocaine Bear, realizing it's true events is like fantastic.
And then, here we go. If somebody asked me how bad was filmmaking in 2023, I'm gonna say the top films were Super Mario Brothers, Cocaine Bear, and Five Nights at Freddy's. That should tell you what filmmaking was in 2023.
But you know what? just from looking at the trailers and with all the big potential films we had all year long, it's nice to see some of the smaller movies that didn't have the box office those did do extremely well, because then that helps them take chances on films that are not necessarily the bigger icon films. And like again, Cocaine Bear was like from the minute you turned that on to the minute you left, and all the other iterations of it and shit, from Cocaine Shark to Cocaine Crocodile or something. I think it was like, or was it? They had so many ones that just popped up that you saw that were like, okay, they were like, get on the cocaine trail.
Definitely not the same budget. Cocaine Shark was unwatchable.
You know what? You know what film was actually really good? It was Netflix is Apple TV, I think, Apple Plus. Tetris. Did you all see Tetris?
I loved that movie.
I didn't see that movie yet.
Oh, it's so good.
That's fantastic. It's Apple TV.
It's good. It's
fantastic.
It's Taron Egerton, the guy's been, but it's literally a true story, based on a true story of like how the game Tetris was, how it came to America, and it's not what you think. It's like it's a crazy story. Like this, it was made in Russia in the 80s, and this guy has to go to Russia and get it and bring, and just like the craziness. I had no idea. I'm playing this game when I was like, 6 years old, and I'm like, holy shit, this is what this guy did to get Tetris on Game Boy. I'd recommend it. Actually, really good film. One of the few that was like on Netflix or on some streaming service that I would say is one of the best.
Now, of course, we talked about this earlier in the cast, but the Godzilla -1 I thought was probably the best special effects film I saw all year long, which had the lowest special effects budget out of damn near every film on the entire list. But
by the way,
great storyline, man.
Super 7 has a very good looking Godzilla.
I have seen that.
Figure.
I have seen it.
It's $85. It looks fantastic.
I know I might get shit for this, but actually, I watched this in the theater with my daughter. Puss in Boots was actually a really good film.
No,
it was really good.
It was probably one of the best and funniest films I've seen all year.
I didn't watch it. I wanted to.
Oh no, it's really good. Like super well done.
One, I'm surprised that a lot of people gave it a lot of crap, but it was a lot better film. It seemed like it took studio back to the ways it used to do movie. Elemental was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It was really enjoyable for adults and children. And I just thought, like, wow, this was actually, it seemed like old school Pixar, like, filmmaking. And Gran Turismo, I know it didn't do that well in the box office, but it was a better film than I thought it was going to be. It's one of those films that if you haven't seen it this year, watch it before the end of the year. It's worth to watch. Now, I don't know how, whenever you see it's based off a true event, some guy plays Gran Turismo and they really put him on a racetrack. But they did have real footage. But I don't know how successful. I didn't.
No, that whole thing is all true.
Okay,
and he was a very successful driver, and they got him because he was the best in the world at driving on the game.
Well, literally, just like Cocaine Bear, it's all 100% true.
Oh, I didn't know that Neil Blomkamp directed Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, well, that's probably why it's good.
It's worth to watch.
Yeah. I'm just gonna tell you right now, though. As a little side note, I know what film you're talking about, but my brain keeps going like, why is he talking about Gran Torino? Like, that movie came out so long ago, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it's Gran.
Oh, that Clint Eastwood reissue.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on? Get off my
Get in my car. Yeah. I was like, talking about that. That didn't come out this year.
Now,
I'm surprised no one said Magic Mike, the last call. Magic Mike didn't.
No. We have to talk about the number 14 box office hit of the summer, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
I liked part of that movie. And it was better than Crystal Skull.
Yes, that was. I will give you hands down. It was better than that.
I said this on the last cast. I think it's the best opening 30 minutes of any Indiana Jones film ever. That's just my opinion. But it was entertaining. As I said, I think it was
The
good.
The opening's right up there with, I believe, with Raiders. I will put it. It's got a good opening, but unfortunately, it is one of those few films that disappointed. By halfway through, you're like, okay,
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It hurt. It hurt. To be honest with you, that's how bad it was.
I'm surprised no one's mentioned Fast X.
No.
Oh, I love that movie. Oh my god, I love that movie.
Let me tell you, these movies after the fifth one,
I
they
know.
just started getting more and more ridiculous
Dude, my
to
favorite
the
one was-
point where it's amazing. I love every bit of it because they're
Dude,
so entertaining.
I didn't think they could top two dudes going to space in a Mazda Miata, but they did with Fast X and Jason.
That wasn't. Hold on,
I will
Mr.
tell you.
Maddox. That's not a Mazda Miata.
Wait, what
That-
was it?
That is a Pontiac Fiero.
Oh, that's right. It was. Okay, my bad. Same thing. Well, you could put a body kit on that and have a Lamborghini. No, but I didn't think they could top that. And then I watched Fast X, and I will say this: the movie is probably not the best, but and I say this wholeheartedly, no bullshit, it's just 100% pure. Jason Momoa's acting
Oh
in
my
Fast
god!
X is top notch. Like the guy nailed it.
He
And
embraced bad.
Dude, that he was borderline. If he was just a little bit more cynical, could have played a very good Joker. But he was like, when they go through and they tell you like the story of it and how he happens, and none of you are gonna watch this, spoiler alert, whatever. But his dad is somebody that they blew up, and so he's like Jason Momoa is like trying to like revenge his dad. But he is so delusional and demented that there's a scene where he's sitting there talking and he's like laughing back and forth. He's like, "No, you guys do whatever you want to do. It's fine. Like, I'll go get some beers." And they're like pan in on his face and they pan out, and it's these two rotting bodies at the side of a pool, and he's clipping their nails while he's laughing and having a good time with them. And I was like, "Yeah, dude, you nailed it." So it's worth watching for his acting.
I
but
thought
the rest
you
of
were
the
going to
movie-
either say John Cena's car in the movie,
Oh, that was
or
fantastic with the fuck. Oh,
or the cliffhanger off the side of a dam with two tanker trucks having to outrun an explosion and possibly a flood. Good
Which,
stuff.
if you're
Can't
in
wait
the
for
Fast-
part 2.
If
Because
you're in
Hoover
Fast
Dam.
and Furious, that's the second dam that they jumped over. Because I believe in 5, remember when they flipped off a train into a dam down into a reservoir? So
yeah.
they're repeating themselves now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, Jason Momoa's acting in that.
It is. It's clearly the best thing in that film.
It's worth watching the film to just watch him because it's nothing like he plays. It's like nothing like he's ever played, right? This guy's Game of Thrones, Aquaman, like seen on Apple TV, like every girl's poster child, whatever.
Well, there's two that comes to mind for me. I think the Spider-Man one is a clear cut, and that thing dominated in the box
that was
office
great,
for
yeah.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm surprised no one's mentioned Avatar.
Well, that's because
Well,
it's
that
not
was last
good
year.
at all. And that was last year.
Yeah.
Did it come out last year?
Yeah, it was a Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just
Oh,
was.
that's right, it came
It
in
was just
December.
so long
Yeah.
that it just went into the new year
Yeah.
for us.
I would also,
I don't think
also,
it would have been on this list anyway. So
I would
it
also
doesn't
like to
matter.
add one of the best movie releases that hasn't come out yet, but just so we could have it on this podcast is the showing of Die Hard in the theater. That
I
will
saw that.
officially
Mhm.
that will officially be the best released movie of the year.
Mhm.
But it's going to make more money probably than
It's
than
gonna make
Aquaman
bank.
2.
I'm gonna go. I'm going, and I can watch that shit on my Apple TV right now. I'm going.
Yeah,
That'd be
I'll
great
be-
if Die Hard beat Aquaman 2 in the
that'd be
box
funny.
office.
That'd be
It'd
funny.
amazing. Are we missing any
No,
other
no,
films?
I
Did we
think
get
you
them
filled
all?
it up.
Now,
I think
hopefully,
you're-
someone's yelling at our TV right now.
I'm sure.
Oh, Dungeons and Dragons. We talked
that's
about
right.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't put that in the best.
I thought this was the best.
it was
not-
it was
not the
enjoyable. Way
waste
better than the other Dungeons and Dragons movie.
No.
That is
Oh.
a true statement.
No.
I'm with you on that
It
one.
blows Jeremy Irons out of the water. sorry.
Let's put it like that. They haven't done a good Dungeons and Dragons from animated cartoon to films to
Since
possibly
Stranger
maybe
Things.
even the board game. It's about the only thing that beats it. But no, I thought that was probably one of the worst written films of the year.
Oh no, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny, and you know,
You and I differ on that one, my friend.
But you guys write together, right?
Yeah, we do. We do.
Sounds good.
That's why it works.
Speaking of writing partners, you know what was really good is Air, the Michael, the Nike, how they came up with Michael Jordan, with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in that. That was really good. That was I think directed Netflix or one of the streaming service, but that was cool to see how they became Nike and their pursuit for signing Michael Jordan to the first shoe deal. If you haven't seen that, that was pretty good too. So
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we got a good amount of top films. I mean, we could spend 4 hours on the bombs, but that might be coming on some new content that we have debuting on the channel. So stay tuned.
The saddest, when we were going over the list, I forgot some of these movies even came out. Expendables 4, that was this year.
Movie. Yeah,
did anyone see it?
I did.
No.
Was it awful?
I watched it. Yeah, I mean, like
the third one sucked. Was it better or worse than that?
It's like probably
okay.
Same or worse.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I watched it. Like I love it because of everyone that's in it. But this one was like, here's a problem. Is like, I watched the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's like 5 or 10 minutes. I was like, oh, I know what happens, and I wasn't wrong. I knew exactly what was going to happen at the end of the movie, and I was just like waiting for it the whole time.
You know what's
explosions? That's all I'll say.
What's sad is that movie. I'm looking at box office results.
Did more than Marvel's.
No, The Nightmare Before Christmas re-release in October made almost as much money as Expendables 4 in the box office. and that released October of this year. So that's
these are worldwide totals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Expendables 4 made 37 million worldwide. That's bad.
Well, that's when you do one film too many, and they don't know when to walk away from something, and that's clearly the case.
And 65 only made 60 million. They couldn't even get their own number.
It's like 65 million needed 65 million.
I couldn't get through that. I've been trying to watch that.
I watched it. I got through it, but I
fell asleep.
It was. Let's put it like this: it's a hard comparison, but it's a better movie than After Earth with Will Smith and his son Jaden. But it's the same plot line. It's just there's a dinosaur in it.
Yeah, but I'd rather watch someone struggle with saran wrap trying to open up a cake in the middle of the night with no lights on. Like it's just like wild how like pure shit it was.
Well, first of all, that sounds like another new segment we just created.
Can you open it? Yes, I can.
ASMR. It's like.
Yeah, you would have thought Kylo Ren fighting dinosaurs would be good, but apparently not. Apparently, not.
Kylo Ren versus dinosaurs is a big loser.
Kylo Ren in the Star Wars universe was a waste of time.
Well, that's true too.
That's like a whiny bitch with a lightsaber.
Well, with that sake, it goes back to the time where I think we're going to roll into our sponsorship of the night.
You guys always cut me off with this part. It's weird.
Well, the Saran Wrap Chronicles. After that, we can't continue. I mean,
we got to get to work. We're going to put some writers on this.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Let me see what the Morbius guys are doing.
I can just see next week when we have like an interview at Sony, and we're like, "Yeah, we heard your podcast, and you and Dr. Brittley don't get the job."
Well, I will tell you, it won't be the best idea. The best idea we had is when Chet and I came up with a series called Microwaving with Chet. That turned out to be someone else, and it was just someone that taught you how to microwave food. It was a series on YouTube.
Yeah, but so then we recreated it, and it was microwave. Yeah, but Colt Cannon. But
Yep.
yeah, that when we were watching it, I was like, they really made this. This dude really made How to Microwave, and
How
it
to
has
Microwave Popcorn.
a lot of views. Like, it's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. Well, back to our sponsor, Mr. Storm.
As usual, like I said, we like to thank Toys versus Games in Wilmington, California. Last week was Black Friday. Obviously, they had a huge sale. They've got some stuff that's coming up over the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of things that you're looking to find that you didn't pick up early in the year, and you don't go to the Ollie's, and you're not running around to the Rosses and everything. Check with Toy versus Games. They're on Instagram. They're our sponsors. We thank them so much. They're always gracious for it. It's Shadowe's preferred store of all time. In fact, and everything, Shadowe's been there so much he hasn't been cutting videos. So let's hope he's shooting some videos in Toys versus Games. But thank them for being our sponsors to the Shadow Crew podcast.
Awesome. And as always, we got some new and existing content on the channel. So more Unbox with Chet Maddox videos coming very soon. I hope you all enjoyed it, including also new retrospect Christmas editions. Dr. Brantley and Mr. Storm retrospect on Christmas action movies. You know, obviously Die Hard comes to mind. Christmas Must Watch. And then some quick retrospect shorts, Christmas classics, Christmas animated. So a whole holiday series set to hit your channel. Super excited for that. For those of you involved or interested in the professional wrestling, WWE, some big news that happened this past week with someone coming over from another wrestling organization. The most views in WWE history on social media, which should tell you the industry is booming a bit. So we're excited to have Tech Master Eric come and drop a couple of videos to talk through that. So more to come on that as well. And then lastly, we have a new series that is coming out, and that is the Box Office Graveyard. So for those of you who are interested in bombs, we're talking some really lethal bombs, films that we've talked about in the past, but also
more than bombs.
outside of bombs, some films that you couldn't even make up that they were made. And Dr. Brantley volunteered his time to watch one, and I'm excited to get into that. So please tune into that special. We'll be filming some stuff, but some really pieces of shit that you gotta listen to.
It's so bad, it's good.
Yeah. Also, we're still working on what it's going to be like to do a live version of the podcast. So don't think that we forgot about that. We know it's there. Our choice of platform will probably be Kick. We're working out the details on that, but yeah, that'll be interesting. We'll see how that works out.
Awesome. Well, as always, like, subscribe, comment the channel. Please share. Thanks for listening and following. And until next time, we'll see you next week.